Hello everyone, this is a little bit of a coding video about plugin versioning again. Because after I made my video in which I basically separated plugin versioning into two different types, version numbers and historical information, I made this poll, and as you can see, people really don't like the historical information, at least not historical information only, as I found out in the comments. So that kinda convinced me that I have to figure out how to also make the version numbers at least a little bit more automatic, because they do have their advantages, of course. Like when you read something like .2, you know, okay, this plugin wasn't initially released yet, it's still a beta version, or 1.0, which means, okay, this is just the initial release, or 9.5.3, which is the current version of Cubase I'm currently on, which means version 9, and then 5.3 also means something, I guess. It's not entirely clear, but at least it's readable and memorable, which is definitely something that historical information cannot always provide. So here we are in the code of my tooltip component again, and I changed some stuff, and now I just want to explain what's going on. So first of all, I need to explain what's this. I get the reference of the user from my utils object getProps, and this just means that I'm getting the user settings from some object called props, and this object sits somewhere in the audio processor, and it's actually a Juice application properties object. This is a very useful object. If you don't know it yet, you should use it every time that you want to have state that is not depending on the current instance of the plugin, but all instances together. So let's go to the point where the information is stored. C, users, your username, app data, roaming, my developer name, and then the name of the plugin. And then there is a file which ends on .settings, and this has all of the state that is not instance specific but for the whole plugin, like the color scheme, the width and the height of the editor, something that a lot of VST developers unfortunately forget to implement, whether or not the plugin has been opened before, the version number and the build date. So this video will be about these last two things, of course. But just in case that you just got started with this specific Juice object, here I just want to show you the code real quickly that you need to set it up in the constructor of your audio processor. You are basically just making a properties files options object, and then you are filling in all of these things. Your plugin name, whatever suffix you want to use for the file name, your manufacturer name, separator string, and the plugin name for like the path you want to have. I don't know. Doesn't really matter. You should just read what the API tells you about this and make decisions. But this up here is the important stuff, and then you can get started with state that is not instance specific. Okay, now that we got that out of the way, let's just look at what the code actually does right now. So build date old string gets the value from the user, so this will read out this string, and build date new string gets the string from this function, which always returns the string that was created on the last build. These two strings could be different strings. Imagine this is a new build, so this will be a fresh string. This string will still contain the string that has been put into this XML file at some earlier build. And this is the reason why down here there is a boolean new build and a branch which just does some stuff only when there is a new build. But first of all, let's talk about this little thing here. This is the plugin version integer. This is the part where I'm still in control of the version number. For example, I could just say that this should be 1, and then it would make sure that the next time I am building this project, I start at exactly 1 or 2 or whatever. That way I can say that I'm on a new major version number. This shouldn't be automatic because it's a major decision. Okay, so next up I get the version number also from the user. So this will read out the version number as a double. And now let's talk about the branch, the new build branch. So this basically starts by flooring and casting to int the current version number and comparing it with the plugin version, because as I said before, if I manually change the plugin version, then I want that just to be the thing, and else if this is not true, then I increase the version number by some extremely small value, but only if I'm not in Juice debug mode, so when I'm making release builds. That way I can make sure that while I'm in debug mode, I don't constantly push up the version number, but only when I make a build that is actually meant to be seen by the public. And of course, every time I'm in this branch, I have to update the version number and the build date. So it will update this stuff to make sure that this is not triggered triggered again next time I run the project without actually building it again. Let's run this. As you can see, now we are on version 0. a bunch of zeros 4. And if we run this again, then we are still on version point something something 4, because the build date old string is still build date new string. However, if I made any changes here and it has to build everything again, then I'm not on 4 anymore, but on 5. You can see it a little bit, even though it is covered up by the resizability button. And now I want to show you this feature where I just manually changed the plugin version. Now let's say this is a major release, actually the first release, and I built it for the public. And now you can see that this updated the version number to exactly 1, and it put away the decimal that was there before. And now, next thing we're going to check out is going back to debug mode and putting the version number back to 0. What will it do? So this actually goes back to 0, because even though we are in debug mode, when I manually say I want to change the plugin version, then this is also the thing that just happens. Let's change something about the code again and run it. And now we see, even though I changed something about the code which forced it to rebuild it, we are still on just 0, because this is a debug build. And when you are debugging a plugin, you might just want to focus on why this parameter is acting up, and not on like what version number you are on, and no one cares. Now this definitely improves the situation. It is not just a string that represents the current date of the release. However, I am still not very happy about it. Specifically this thing here, I'm just incrementing by a small number. That kind of makes me nervous. First of all, it might actually be that I just forget about this for a really long time, and then it jumps on a new integer without me noticing it. I wouldn't want that to happen. I think it's pretty unlikely with such a small number. But using such a small number also brings another disadvantage, which is that the number is actually not as readable as some version numbers where you don't have thousands of zeros. You know, just like my Cubase version 9.5.3, which is actually readable. So I was discussing this with some other audio developers, and we were brainstorming about what such a kind of versioning could mean, and we found that it could mean the 9 stands for the main version. Like every time you are updating this to a new number, it is a new major version that is like independent from the last version. It could even have a whole new parameter layout or something that is like a breaking change in the plugin. And then whenever you add something to it, like 1, 2, 3, it might be just a new little feature that is not really a breaking change. And when someone reports a bug and it's fixed, then that might be on the last point, and that would explain why you end up with a number that has multiple kind of decimals. But I find that this is kind of problematic when it comes to trying to figure out if you can actually automate this process. Every time you make a build, you have to decide, was this a bug fix? Was this a new feature? Or was this a major release? It might be a little bit tricky. Like you always have to think, was this a breaking change, or was it just an improvement of some sort? Or if you compare these, was it really a new feature, or was the workflow that I updated actually something that broke the functionality of the plugin, made it too hard to be used for the user, and should because of that be considered a bug? I don't really want to think about these kind of things when I'm just fixing things, because when I'm sitting here making plugins, I just want to make the plugins, to be honest, and I have a to-do list with the things that I want to improve, and I don't always want to make a distinction what kind of problem is that. I just want to fix the problem. When you are just doing everything by yourself, then you cannot keep track of such a very not foregroundish information all the time. So that's why I just think, nah, I will not do it like this. But still, it is possible to some extent, and this video shows you how